Okay, folks, it's me again. It's your boy Tabo, and I'm back with another JavaScript lesson for beginners. And the lesson for today is gonna be on switch statements and for loops and while loops. So, without further ado, I'm just gonna jump into it and explain as I go what these things do. Okay, so I'm going to start with the switch statement. Basically, what a switch statement is that it will execute a line of code based on certain conditions. So it will check if a certain condition is right, and it takes a couple of conditions. So if any one of these conditions are true, then it will execute that code. So what I will do is create I'll create an array. I'll say a list, and then this list will be, I'll put a list of cars. Okay, let's start with I'll say a Mazda. We'll just make it small letters. I'll say Mazda, and I'll say a Toyota. And now I'll say a Ferrari. And I'll say Lamborghini. Okay, I'm not sure how you spell a Lamborghini. Is it like this? Lambo. Oh, could it be a Lamborghini? Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know how to spell a Lamborghini. Okay, now I've just actually realized that. But please excuse me because that's not the point. Should look it up. Lamborghini. I'll just, yeah. And I will say Aston Martin. And we'll say Bugatti. I don't know if Bugatti is also one T or... So I'm messing it all up, basically. That's quite clear, but hey, this is not what the lesson is about. Okay, so now I'm going to create a function called pick item and list. Alright, and what this is going to do, it's going to take the list and then I'll create a variable called, oh wait, let's, and then I'll say let item equal to, let's say item number equal to math.floor, let's say math.random well, times let's say list.length plus 1. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is that we're gonna return list, and then item num. Okay, so first of all, let me console.log, say log yes, pick item list, and then I will give it list. Okay, so let's see what this gives us. It gave us Mazda. Okay, so each time it will give us a random item. And so what we're gonna do with this is we're gonna then create, so I'll say let item equal pick item and then list. All right, so basically I'm creating a variable which will which will be equal to the value of whatever pick item in list returns. And so after that, then I'm gonna create a switch statement. Now we're getting to the real deal, right? So this is how a switch statement works. First, I'm gonna use item as argument, and what I'm gonna do afterwards is that I'm just gonna make this small for now, just so that I can see the list of items in our array. So it's gonna check for any of these conditions. The case is basically the condition, so it's gonna check if it's Mazda, and if this is true, let's say it's gonna then console.log item. So yeah, that's basically what it's gonna do. And if this is not true, then it's gonna break. Well, it's basically gonna check if this is true, and afterwards it's gonna execute this, and then it will then close. Break just means it will then end the whole process. So the first true statement it will execute it, and then it will stop. So since we have a couple, then we're just gonna do it like this. We're gonna have a few cases here. Yeah, well, excuse that. That's a bit annoying, but it's fine. It always does that. Okay, so we've got Mazda. Sorry if you can't see. Okay, let me also close this. So we've got Mazda, and then we've got Toyota. And we've got Ferrari. We've got Lamborghini. We've got Aston Martin, and we've got no matter what I do. And then last but not least, we've got Ford. And then yes, wait, and then default would be we'll just say item, we'll just console.log item not found, or says no such item in list. Okay, so this will be the default statement that will be outputted if none of these are true. Okay, so now it's time to put this thing to the test. So let's see what's gonna happen then. I'm gonna go here and let's see which one is outputted. So, oh, no such item in the list. Oh, how can that be? Okay, so I'm just gonna remove this. Maybe that could be the problem. There we go, Lamborghini. So I'm gonna then close this so that we can only get a statement from our switch statement. So you see here it's Lamborghini. I'm gonna refresh it again. Now I've got Ferrari. Ferrari again, Toyota. So no such item in list. How could that be though? I mean, what does that mean? You've got Mazda, you've got Toyota, you've got Ferrari, you've got Lamborghini. Oh yeah, here, Aston Martin, that's what it is. Yes, Aston Martin, that's the one item. Oh yeah, we forgot the Bugatti. Yes, well, I forgot the Bugatti. You had nothing to do with it. It's all on me. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Bugatti. If this is not how you write it, then I apologize in advance. Yes, so this is it. So now you've got Ferrari, you've got Toyota, Aston Martin. So what this switch statement does is that it will check what the value of item is, and if the value of item is any of these cases, then it will output this here. So it will console.log the value of item at this point in time. So yes, that should be quite self-explanatory. So basically, you could just have an object, and you could have it basically output. You could put in a switch statement, and then you could have the switch statement output certain information when the state of the object changes to something, to a particular state. So yeah, basically that's how that works. So now you've got your switch statement, and then the next one will be a for loop. So basically, you can iterate through an array using a for loop. If you wanted to check all the items that are within an array, then you can use a for loop to check each and every single item, or each and every single value that is held within the entire array. So without further ado, let's just jump into it, and let me show you how that works. So how we declare a for loop, we say for, and then I say let I equal to 0. So basically this is like a function which takes arguments, which there are 3 specific arguments that it takes. So this one, it first declares a variable called I, and its value is 0. And then I will say I is smaller than, I'll say list dot length. So basically I'll say I'm creating a condition, so it will only execute if I is smaller than the length of the list. Alright, and then the next one will say if that is true, so every time it finishes a loop, it will increment by 1. So it will say I plus plus, and then inside, then we can say what it is that we want the for loop to do. So as it is iterating through the list, I will say list, and then I'll say let me say I was console.log every item in the list, or each item in the list as it goes. So I will say list I, and then I will say plus, this is me just, yes, okay, so this should work. So basically what this will do is that it will then console.log, it will print out the name of each and every item that is within the list. So it will go through the entire list, and it will print out each and every item in there. Okay, so let's do this. Ooh, declaration of let R. Okay, I think this is the problem. Sorry, I used commas instead of semicolons. Yes, guys, these things happen. Yes, so here we are. So now I've got a list of the items that are in, this list. So we've got Bugatti, Mazda. So I'll just say I'll just add this little statement here just to make it clear. Whoa. Okay, I'll say then item number, and I'll say I, and then I'll say equal, right? Okay, so we'll say item number is equal to that value. So item number 0 is equal to Mazda, item number 1 is equals to Toyota, item number 2 is equals to, and on it goes. So you get the point. So basically that's what a for loop does, and I will explain again. So this is how you declare a for loop. You create a variable called I, and you give it a value. You can give it any value that you want. In this case I gave it 0 because I wanted it to start from the index 0, because if you remember, an array, it starts with index 0. Basically it starts calculating from 0 to infinity. So the first item in the list will be in the index 0, not 1 but 0. That's how it works. So in order to iterate through the whole list, or to start from the beginning, this would have to be 0. If it was 1, then it would basically start calculating from Toyota. I mean, if you see in the list, Toyota is the second one, this would be index 1. So it will start calculating from here till the end. So that's what that does. So this is the variable that will help to iterate through the whole list. And this checks if whether or not I is smaller than the length of the list. If it's not smaller, then it will stop, meaning that obviously it cannot reveal any items, because if the number is above the length, then there are no items to display anymore. Okay, it will be undefined. And then once the loop is done, it will iterate. So every time it finishes one loop, then it will iterate I. So it will go the first loop while I is 0, and when it's finished, then it will not iterate, sorry, it will increment. And then once it's done, then it will increment it by 1. So now I will be equal to 1, and it will then execute, and then in the next loop it will be 2. Then it will just keep going on and on and on up until the value of 0 is bigger than the length of the list. And when it is bigger than the length of the list, this statement is no longer true. The for loop stops. So I hope that was clear. Yeah, so that's it for loops. And then you've got your while loops. Now while loops it will run for as long as the statement in here is true, and when it is no longer true, then it will stop. So let's say let's say I'll create a number, say let num equal to 10, right? And then I'll say as long as while num, say if while num is equal to 10, then keep executing. So every time it will execute, I'll say log and I'll say num is still bigger than 0. So for as long as it's still bigger than 0, so I'll say here num is equal, okay, let me say num is bigger than 0. Okay, and then every time it finishes, then I will make it, and now I'll say num minus. Okay, so now I will run the statement, and then it should then basically execute the statement a couple of times, and then at some point it should stop. Okay, so let's check it out. Since unexpected token, let's roll 62. Oh, my bad. Okay, So here is what happened. It executed 10 times. You see, it said num is still bigger than 0, so it did that 10 times. So by the time, because every time it executed, then I minused 1 from num. So at first it was 10, so it kept on executing up until num was no longer bigger than 0. So as you can see here, this is what this means. This 10 just indicates that this was outputted 10 times. So that's what a while loop does. But with the while loop, you should be careful, because if for some reason your statement here is it remains true and it does not become false at any point in time, then it will keep on executing forever, which will cause your program to crash. So you should be careful when you're using a while loop to make sure that your program is well programmed and that there aren't any mistakes, because if this does not change at any point in time, it will just keep executing for infinity, which will obviously affect the performance of your computer and your program, whatever it is that you're programming. It will slow it down up until it crashes. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what that does. So there you go. You've got your switch statement, you've got your for loop. I'll just say for loop operation, and we'll say here yes, while loop operation, not operation. And then switch, I'll say switch operation, or switch statement operation, whatever. You get what I'm saying. Okay, that's that. Don't want to talk too much, but I always like making sure that everybody understands. So yeah, if you're all clear, if all is good, then I'll have to just then stop here and say, yeah, much love to all of y'all. This has been awesome. I love doing this, and yeah, till the next episode, I'm out. If you thought this video was good and helpful, please press that like button. For any questions or input, just remember to leave a comment. And if you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe to my channel and I'll keep more stuff coming your way.